Just need to wait for this thing to pop up here. And welcome back to EXP Grind. You're here with Lael420 and we are playing Elden Ring. We are giving some tips for YouTube's Zorn the Great. Let us go ahead and continue and start up on my character. Let me turn that off. I also left my fucking speaker on. My bad. And yep, we're live. That was the notification there. Perfect. All right. So let's go ahead and teleport back to the very beginning. And Zorn was about here, out by the gate front. We shall wait here until Zorn pops up onto chat. And we already have a viewer. Hopefully that's you, Zorn. I'm going to believe that it is you. So, first little tip here in this area that you were just fighting in. Hey, it is you, Zorn. Do yourself a favor when you can. Since I've gone through this game and I'm in playthrough 4, some of the items that are still out there I haven't bothered to like collect for the 4th time over. So just to let you know, right up over here on all of these mausoleums, rolling mausoleums, caskets, I don't know what you want to call these. Also, by the way, I currently have a buddy in chat. His chat is not going to be recorded, but if it happens to sound like I'm talking to somebody, it's because I am. These you can pop open and you can grab yourself some items from these things. Random weapons, swords, stuff, and everything. There'll be some in most of them. There's at least 2 definitely right over here where you're standing. You already found that one gate. That was over here. Or not the gate, the opening. I'll explain the whetstones that you found down here and everything in just a little bit. But for the moment, let me go ahead and just immediately show you how to go and get you the, what's it called? Your first rune farm of the game. So just follow my path directly from where we are. This is the grace that you started from, or that you'll start from, is the Agiel Lake North Grace Point that you got last. So we're just going to follow southeast on this road. Basically what you want to do is just keep following this path. Follow the road. Oh, random little tip. These are the stakes of Marika. You'll find a lot of them everywhere. Whenever you die and it gives you the option to return to one, you'll go to basically the nearest one you were closest to. There's usually one in front of boss battles or major boss battles, field boss battles, or certain checkpoints. So sometimes they're most likely closer to the point that you died than going back all the way to the last grace point. But if you did want to go and, like, I don't know, reallocate some of your flasks or deal with new magic sets or anything like that, you could always head back to a grace and go and fiddle with that stuff. So just keep that in mind. So again, we're going to keep on following over this bridge. And instead of following this brick path straight over to the right, which, hold on one second, I need to get out of combat here. Okay, you know what? Wrong. Pick up everything from every enemy, and it's like no matter what, it's almost likely random stuff, but a lot of it is craftables. Sometimes you get the armor pieces in that, or something possibly important. You never know. So let's see. Okay, yeah. Right here, the path actually branches off down over here, which is where we want to go. You want to keep going down until you reach the 3rd Church of Marika. Well, let's see. Oh, shoot, right. I have my controls set up wrong. Give me one moment to fiddle with my accessibilities. And switch out custom. I have it set up for Call of Duty and for Sniper Elite. So we're just going to follow this little dirt path that just keeps on going this direction. You can ignore pretty much all enemies. As long as you're faster than them, you can just outrun them. But don't be afraid to fight some of them from time to time to at least gauge the strength of the enemies in the areas that you're going to. Because if you just keep on running past everything and end up in new areas, you're going to end up running across enemies that you really shouldn't get caught fighting. And unless you're confident in actually outrunning them. But so again, we're going to keep on following this path all the way past over here. There is another grace right over here if you ever want to go and pick it up right outside the Mistwood. Just me. I mean, technically, the area that you went to wasn't completely outside of your range. The areas that you went to were in the first area you're supposed to go to. You went roughly to where you were meant to go. I'm going to try to skirt around this giant. Just always follow the path, but if you want to follow exactly as I'm going, you can. The church is right there, so long as you get over to this section and just see it, you can just get past them. Once you get to the third church of Marika over here, there's a few items that you're going to want to pick up. Other than getting your grace, there's going to be a very special item sitting right here in this bowl. It is going to be this golden flask right here. It is your, what's it called, Wondrous Physic. With it, you're able to mix in certain tiers that you'll find later on in the game in multiple locations and everything. Most of them usually by the lesser Erd trees. Won't say any more on that for now, but just look for them. You'll find plenty of them. Mix them up with your physic, and it's a one-time use for every time that you sit down at the grace. So it'll come back just like your regular healing flasks and everything else, but it's only a one-time use. It can definitely save you on a lot of stuff. The ones I currently have right now are very specific, and I can help you find the Twiggy Crack tier that I happen to have here earlier than I can the Crimson Whirl Bubble tier if you happen to like my setup. Twiggy Crack tier will temporarily stop your rune loss whenever you use the physic. So for maybe about a minute after using the physic, you could die from anything and you'll still keep all of your runes. You won't lose them. Using this is a good way of being able to test if a section is too deadly to go down, I don't know, jump a tunnel or something, see if it's a survivable jump or anything. You can always use this to just kind of test the waters in the areas without having to, lose anything permanently. So yeah, physic will be there, and right over here you'll end up getting a sacred tier. The sacred tiers are what you're going to end up using to increase. So there is fall damage. Yes, there is in fact fall damage in the game. It's just at a certain height. It's at first step you didn't have enough height to hit the actual range, but there is in fact fall damage. Let's see. Sit down at the grace, and when you go into, okay, let's mixing the physic flasks. So when we go over here, you can increase the amount that your flask can heal, that it can replenish using specifically the sacred tiers that you find over here. The golden seeds will give you number of uses for your flasks. The max number of flasks uses are going to be, what does it say down there? Plus 12. Sorry, my TV's kind of covered up over here. Elenia Royce, I am doing all right, thank you. So yeah, so it'll be at the max of plus 12 for the amount that it can heal, and then a total of 14 flasks I have, or total. Yeah, 14 flasks. A total of 14 flasks that you can allocate however you want. I have them set in a certain way, but you could always change them if you need more healing or more magic, essentially. So And then this is going to be the next little bit of traversing to the rune farm. So pay close attention, Zorn. We're going to go from this grace and past the Statue of Marika that's here, and we are going to be heading back over here. Elenia, I don't really have much of a favorite game, to be honest, or to be fair. It's kind of what my current game that I'm just currently obsessing over is, because I have hundreds of games that I absolutely love. But right over here is Zorn, right behind that place, in between this little rocky crevice, you're going to find this little teleporter. You're going to walk up to it, you're going to examine it, and travel to another location. You'll always be able to just teleport back most often after going through one of these type of teleporters. See, at any point, you can just open back up and go over Grace Point, and just teleport from here. But this one's going to end up sending you over here to Bestial Sanctum. Immediately when you show up, do not engage with that statue when you appear. Go inside of the building, ignore the guy at the back, and get the grace that's here on the right. And then once you do, you're going to leave, and you're going to head out this way. You're going to get onto Torrent and immediately go to the left, ignoring that dude right there. And we're just going to keep on going towards the left. Watch out for all these little mini guys. There's a lot of them, and they like to chuck some poison from time to time. You'll find some items. The place that we're trying to get to is down over here, so just try to drop down. Some customized stuff, too. I couldn't even read the rest of that entire message, Alina, so I'll check that out in here in a little bit. Give me a little minute. Don't follow my exact path that I just jumped unless you're willing to chance that. This fall right here will do plenty of damage to Torrent, and at your level will most likely kill you. The amount of stamina you have will not outdo that fall. So you're going to want to go down all the way to the most eastern side path and just keep going down south there, Zorn, until you get down to this little bridge. Ignore all the poison I'm running through. Stick to the walls when you're coming down here. You're going to keep on going right across this bridge. Be careful. Most often than not, when you come here, there might be an enemy on this bridge, depending on the time of day, I believe. So just kind of be careful. You're going to keep going until you get to this tower here with this grace point. And then this is going to be your current early game rune farm for the foreseeable future for the moment there, Zorn. It's going to be going back and forth from this grace. And you need to get this pattern down right, kind of like just right. If you mess it up, you can accidentally die. It'll take a couple of tries, but you'll get the hang of it. You're going to want to go up here just a little bit until this spawns in, and then you want to jump right past it. But you want to make sure you kind of get to this part right here, right where I'm at with Torrent, and not let it go down here. You want to try to bait the ball that just appeared right over here to this edge. It'll fly off and into the void, and when it dies, it'll give you some runes. All you'd have to do then is just run back up and then keep doing it over and over again. Let me go ahead and show you it the proper way. It'll also kill an animal that's just right over here, give a little extra runes, but it gives about 4,000 runes and everything when it dies. So it's a really good early game rune farm if you want to just keep running up and back and forth. It'll give you some good quick runes, but you have to survive the run to get here, and at early game it may be very, very difficult, so you may die a few number of times on the attempts getting from the Bestial Sanctum down over here to this grace point. This grace point is called Lenez Rise. The ball does. Yes, the ball's the thing that's going to be giving you all the runes from here. At least from this particular rune farm. There's another rune farm much later on in late game that will take you to. Most of all players in Elden Ring know about it. It is... Sorry, give me 1 second. Wrong map. There we go. Right down over here on the Palace Approach Ledge Road, right on the side outside of Mogwin Dynasty Mausoleum. Late game. Few times is being generous. Yes, a few times would be, yes. The ball would give you plenty of runes early game. Like right where you are now, this is like a shit ton of runes. But once you start getting closer to like levels, I don't know, 50 and up, this will start becoming a slightly less useful rune farm. Every single level that you go up, the runes needed to level up again will go up even higher. It'll just keep going up. So just to let you know. Right now, personally, because my character is at level 600, it currently would take me 2,332,000. Wait, no, 23 million. No, yeah, read that wrong. 23,328,854 runes just for. Well, that's actually what I'm holding. Never mind. I'm dumb. I'm stone and dumb. Never mind. Let me rephrase that. The runes needed for a single level is 5,500,000. And 9,481. That's where the runes are needed. The runes held and everything are the ones the ones that you currently are holding. Duh. Pocket change, right? Yeah, essentially. Yeah. It's pocket change. After certain levels, it's just pocket change after a while. The levels keep on going up, and the amount that you get from early game enemies and everything is useless. This ball right now, like I said, it dropped 4,000. 4,000 is nothing from what I need for a single level for this character. This is a very inefficient rune farm for me. Heck, the other late game rune farm is no longer viable for me at this late game either. At this late game, your best bet is to have a buddy, and this part, mind you, my point of concept of late game is that I'm already the fourth playthrough through. This is New Game Plus 4. And also through the DLC. At this point, you'd have a couple of buddies or friends that end up probably like duping some runes and everything to drop you some extra runes that they've collected along the way, and you can level up faster that way. But I highly, highly do not recommend this until you've completed the entirety of the game, at least one through full playthrough, and possibly a playthrough of the DLC before you were to bother picking up anything from other players. So if you ever happen to get invaded by random people, and there happens to be an invader that just willingly drops you something and doesn't kill you and is just being friendly, pick up the item, sure, but if it's ever runes, never use them. Drop them into your chest, which will be here in your grace. You could go all the way down and sort through your chest, and you can drop extra runes and everything into your chest. Just drop all the extras that they drop to you there. Don't use them until you go through the game. At least get a moderately natural playthrough. The only thing that's even moderately still unnatural is even these rune farms, but this is still what a basic gamer would do for their own type of grinding. If you wanted to make the grind easier, most players still stick to these minor rune farms. So give it a try. And let's see, what were my other tips that I wanted to give to you? Oh, shoot. That's actually correct. I'm not sure if you picked up the item. Did you happen to get this item when you went over to the Colosseum and fought that invader, the Duelist Furled Finger? If not, you may want to go back over to the Colosseum. Underneath that bridge where you met Burnhall in War Master's shack and went up past the wolves until you came across that invader and when you died out over here. on the front steps of the Limgrave Coliseum, there's going to be that red duelist finger that'll allow you to do to summon in duelists and everything like that to fight. Later on, you'll end up getting these two items that'll allow you to do invasions of other players if you choose to actually invade somebody. For one storyline, you will have to do a couple of invasions just to test out the thing in general, but you can do that later. You most likely have already gotten this one early on, the Tarnished Furled Finger. Tarnished Furled Finger will allow you to summon in co-op players and everything to help you play the game. Small Golden Effigy is going to be specifically used to send out summoning signs to every single summoning pool that you happen to unlock out there. So to explain the summoning pools, let me go on back over to First Step, because it's one of the easiest, simplest ones to show. Let's see here. Right down over here, these are the summoning pools. They just are just Marika hung up on. They're literally these people as well. They're just all these little markers that are out here. But these markers, you'll usually find a bunch of golden signs all around them whenever you happen to activate a Furl Calling Finger Remedy. These can be made using your item crafting. I have a lot of other items here, so just don't mind those. Your first few items should already include the Furl Calling Finger Remedy. You'll need to get some Erdly flowers out. Just pick them up out of the ground in places. There's items everywhere. They're the golden flowers you'll find most likely over by North Agil Lake from where you've been. All around these. If you don't, I currently have multiplayer password active, but if you were to activate this without the password, you'd see a bunch of the golden signs right around over here, like the sign you used to summon Rogier during the fight against Margit. Activating the small golden effigy will send your signs to any and all of these that you happen to, quote-unquote, activate when you go out in the world. You have to touch these in order to activate this. You're definitely going to want to make a list of notes. If you can, I'd implore you to rewatch this video tomorrow to get a piece of paper and everything when you got like some time, and just jot down little notes, a couple of little directions and everything like that. Try to remember that route that I showed you. Even if you have to kind of like follow it on the side, mute my video and just like follow it visually and everything like that during your next stream if you have to. Yeah, because the routes are long, and this game is great, and it's all about exploring. Like, it's just big. It is really, really big. Like, this part is all that you see so far on your map, because that's all you have. But this is all what it's capable of. Like, that's not counting DLC, which is, like I said, if you ever get a chance to, and you happen to like this game enough, I implore you to get the DLC, because that'll be a great challenge. Plus, there's a lot more awesome weaponry that you can have fun with. In fact, let me show you one of these ones, the backhand blade type weapons. These particular ones have a throwing moveset to allow to actually chuck them, as well as the Ash of War, which is a swift slash. A lot of people tend to enjoy the Swift Slash. I kind of just mess around with these. They're currently in just a random slot. By the way, for weapon placement, all of these are going to be your weapon slots. These will be for all arrows or bolts for any bows and, well, just the bows and crossbows that you happen to find in the game, if you happen to choose to use those as your weapons. Right now, I think you only have 2 weapons slotted, so if you ever happen to accidentally hit your D-pad and it goes blank, it's because you have no weapons in those slots. Once you get more of your stats higher, you'll be able to fiddle with that better. By the way, I couldn't help but notice when you happen to switch your armor sets, you happen to have gone over your equipment load. If you'll notice over on my right-hand side of the screen, I can't unfortunately point at it, but on the character status down at the bottom, you'll see equipment load, and in the stats of it, you'll see just underneath it that I'm at medium load. If you have a certain number of weight on your body that that's getting close or basically outclasses your equipment load, you'll be in fat rolling to the point of being over encumbered. Once you're over encumbered in that, you won't be able to really roll whatsoever. You'll just kind of like nudge in the direction of trying to roll. Fat rolling, you'll still roll, but it'll be so slow that you'll be barely able to dodge from your enemies. Mid rolling is probably the best in my opinion, unless you can get really, really good at calculating the fast rolls. A lot of other people prefer fast rolling over medium rolling. I happen to be just a medium load roller. So fiddle with your equipment load, and yeah, so fiddle with that when you can. Equipment load goes up higher the more of your endurance that you increase. Your endurance will also increase your stamina bar. So when you can, start increasing your stats. Let's go on up over here and actually show you that real quick. To show you and explain those, because this is one thing you're going to definitely need explaining, and it's going to be way too much to write down in the middle of your stream. So when we go to level up, these are going to be your stats that you can increase. These from strength straight down, these are all going to be the stats that determine your damages, their damage types. Most of them are going to be also what you're going to need to increase to use certain weaponry, and I'll explain that here in a minute. All of these will increase your damages depending on strength or dexterity. If you're a dex build, strength build, intelligence build, faith build. So with intelligence or faith, you're working with either magic or incantations, sorceries or incantations in the game. Mind you, both of them are all mystical or magical one way or the other. One is just through essentially sciences, and the other one's literally through blind faith in a religion in the world. All incantations are based on your faith stat, and all sorceries are all based on your intelligence stat. The higher that they are, the more damage you'll be able to do with either of those, or with any of those sorceries or incantations when you get them. There are certain amounts of incantations that are specifically for healing. Any of the healing like magics that you could use are all going to be in the incantations in the faith tree. But there is still damaging abilities and everything like that, and spell or incantations that are in the faith tree as well, other than just what you can find in the sorceries. Dexterity is going to be all of your fast, quick-moving weaponry, your bows and arrows, anything that would obviously take speed or dexterity to work. All your strength are going to be your big-ass heavy weapons, and those are going to be your biggest damage dealers. If you want to go heavy damage, strength is going to be your best bet. Judging the fact that you chose warrior, it might actually be one of your best things to go with, but I would suggest increasing a little bit of your faith, in just at least to be able to use some of the healing incantations, simply because once you actually can use a focus, most basic focus is the finger seal, which you can buy from the finger maidens in the round table hold. You use any of the healing incantations when you're out of your flasks, and you'll be able to heal. It'll just take up mana to do so. I'm currently just equipped with the highest level of the healing spells, but the ones you can get from core in early game will work fairly well for where you're at in the game, since you haven't really even bothered to level up just yet. These other stats, your vigor, mind, and endurance, are going to be your health, your magic, and your stamina, respectively. Like I said, stamina, as you notice up there, glowing, the stamina and max equipment load are going to increase whenever you increase that stat. Magic and HP are only going to increase those stats. Mind you, they also do a little bit of increase on your immunity, your robustness, and vitality. These stats are... Hold on, let's see if I can do a menu. No, not menu. Explanation? There we go. Explanation. To go over to the immunity, it's going to be your resistance to poisons and rot. The higher the number, lower the susceptibility. I can explain resistances much better at a later date when you're actually dealing with more of those. The one that you're dealing with the most at all early game is going to be blood loss. Dealing with any enemies that actually cause blood loss and everything like that, or bleed, is well, it's fucked up. Basically, once your bleed bar builds up entirely and hits full, you'll take a massive chunk of damage suddenly, immediately, on the spot. And most often than not, that big old chunk outdoes the amount of health that you currently have. And it's the reason why a lot of people consider blood damage and everything like that to be the most OP when it comes to, What the hell's the word? Uh, Shadow, what the hell's the word I'm looking for?
Eh?
What's the word I'm looking for?
For what? I've been
When
trying
I'm
not to
talking
die
like,
for like the past 20 minutes. I kid
oh,
you
my,
not. And
my
I'm
bad.
not even done with this fucking mission.
No, I was explaining out the blood loss and the immunities and all that and everything. You know, I forgot what the word I was trying to what I was trying to explain there. My bad, there's one. Anyway,
Percentage or some shit? I don't know what you're
no,
trying
it
to
was
tell them.
that's what I was saying. It was a specific word and I couldn't think of it. Anyway, again, blood loss is just going to be your most damaging like that's the word I'm trying to figure out. What are the words of these of
Damage
the word of these
affinity?
things? Not a damage affinity. What is the name of these things again? I'm a little bit stoned right now, so I
Pretty
can't
sure
think
it's
of
an
the word.
affinity. That's
Is it affinity? Anyway, these are just your resistances to these poisons, different maladies. I guess is another word I would probably try to use to explain them. They're
abnormalities.
abnormalities. This what the heck? There's a word for it that we've used before in the past as players. Shadow. I just can't think of what the heck it is.
Mm.
It's I don't know. Anyway, these are all the things you'd have to deal with in the game and everything. We have sleep, there's madness, we have frostbite, there's blood loss, there's poisons and rot, and then there's also death. Just flat out death. Yes, you could. Yes, you can increase your resistance to just death. I'll just let that sit into you. You can lower your susceptibility to instant death. I'll explain that much later on when you actually have to deal with it, but I'll just let you think whatever you want to think about that for now. Just lower your susceptibility to just death. Anyway, so your arcane stat is going to be a little bit different. A lot of different weaponry will actually say that they work off of arcane, or even certain incantations will work off of arcane. It's more of like a different set of faith that you're obviously believing in the arcane over the concept of the gods, right? You're looking for something more, the concept like I guess demonic in a certain way. Even though most things here are kind of demonic or monstrous in their own form of way. So yeah, most important stats, like I say, to me, tend to be these ones. But you can set up your character again however way you want to. I do not care. I am just here to watch you enjoy the playthrough and everything like that, and build your character how you want to build them. So I will not be giving you any suggestions on explaining how to actually like build a build. I want to see what you build. Animations are a VTuber model to draw in more eyes. I don't do any of those V model things, to be honest. Sorry. Appreciate it though. But yeah, no. Zorn. You can create your character however way you want to build. Be the warrior. Be anything. You can even become a reaper, like how I created a reaper if you choose to. You can go and do what my friend over here, Shadow, has done, and go and make Mallet Man run around like the mountain man with a fucking mallet in your hand, completely bare naked and beating the shit out of shit. Do whatever you want. It's like two of them in one stream. I know, right, Zorn? Just popping in. Hey, by the way, I could do this for you and make a VTuber thing for you. I think that's what the second one popped in. The first one got cut off. I think the message was a little too long. I don't know. That was a weird message, but awesome at the same time. I'm gonna check those comments here in a little bit before I call it in general. But let's see, what more can I suggest? Like give tips for early game that is also not spoiling anything. You went to the round table hold, went to that. Oh, the only other thing I can think of is to equip any items that you think will be useful and everything. My usual setup is to keep Torrent and the Physic over here. A lot of other people like to set them up right on this side. These 4 buttons will be your quick bar buttons to when you hold down on, and I'm going to try to do my best and try to explain it on your controller being an Xbox controller over mine being PlayStation. So when you're holding down Y and you pull up this little thing, it'll be your hotbar to these 4 buttons. Any of the things that you set up in these for your D-pad. Most often than not, I usually tend to keep my summoning right down the bottom, so it's the easiest thing to summon up, and the telescope on the left just to be able to use that. I also keep rune arcs on the other side, and this item you will not have to be dealing with until you bother to get the DLC, if you even decide to. If you choose, you can put anything in those places, whatever you feel is a nice quick hotbar while you're on the battlefield to just press and hold Y and use them. Otherwise, while you have that active, pressing the right bumper, I guess it's called, and the left bumper, which are essentially my L1 and L2s, those are going to switch your weapons into the right hand or left-handed weapons. You're just two-handing the weapons from whichever is in your left or right hand. Most of the time, or especially early game, since you won't have the stats for certain weapons, and this is where we'll start going into the stats. See, for my scythe here, or for my grave scythe, you'll see the attributes required needs a strength of 17 and a dexterity of 13 to be able to use it. That's just to use it and wield it correctly. Otherwise, you can still equip it, you'd still hold it, and maybe you might be able to pull off the strength and the use and everything like that by two-handing it. That's how a lot of people get away with the attributes required for most part. So if you have to do that, don't forget that you can two-hand the weapons in order to make it a little easier. Otherwise, you'll have to level up those attributes and everything until you could actually use those weapons. Most of the weapons that happen to have an Ash of War, like this one's Phantom Slash or this one's Angel Wings or anything, you're going to need to make sure you have all the attributes required before you can even use that Ash of War. Otherwise, you'll end up just swinging the weapon in the animation and it won't be doing all of the effects. So, for instance, when I bring out my Angel Wings and I use it, you see the white that's on feathers that are just an animation of it. All of that wouldn't be there if, let's say, and I can even show you how it looks if I just drain all my magic. So give me a second to just drain magic for a sec. Ignore this incantation, it's DLC. And one more. Oh, apparently I don't have enough for it. Use it up with this. Alright, so now that I have no more mana, I can essentially show you what this weapon would look like, even if you were to try to use the Ash of War without essentially the stats to use it. It would just be the swing. There's no animation, no what's it called. It doesn't have the power that it has behind it normally for the thing. You just do the animation. That's all that would end up happening. So when you get a chance to, just always make sure to make sure you have the stats required to even use them. Now, for the part next to it on the side where it says attribute scaling, this is where it's most important. The attribute scaling is where you're going to end up seeing how you're going to end up doing the damages. Those are going to be the stats you want to increase to do more damage with that weapon in particular. So if you end up liking a certain weapon and you want to make a whole build off of your character off of a weapon and everything like that, just remember your stats you need to increase to make that weapon stronger or more viable for damage. Mind you, if my friend Shadow here wasn't currently busy with the game that he's currently doing right now, he would have a lot more to say on this. He's gone way in depth with the concepts of how the soft caps of certain levels and everything like that work and helping out the damages of your weapons. There's a lot more YouTube videos from other YouTubers that have gone out of their way that have figured all that stuff out. That'll probably give you more in-depth explanation than I can definitely give right now. So yeah, if you ever just feel inclined to do yourself a favor, look up some Elden Ring like weapon stat explanations on builds or anything, or just explaining the status or the stats itself. Go ahead and check those out. Your armors will all have a different, just like your weapons will all have different weights. Those will all go towards your equipment load, to how much you're actually rolling. So that's why when you put on the helmet, it had a higher weight, ended up going past the equipment load. All of your armors will also have a little thing down at the bottom of resistance. You see there, it says poise. At the bottom, or for poise itself, all added armor total will give you a certain amount of poise. That total poise number will be, I think it's checked against the attacks and the strength and everything when your enemies are attacking you. And the higher your poise is, the more chances you'll be able to withstand certain attacks before you get staggered. The lower your poise is, the easier it is for you to get staggered from your enemies. Right now, you only have a certain number of talisman slots to work with, but if I were you, once you pick up any talismans or find any to purchase, buy, or just find, pick them up and get them as soon as you can and equip them. Then when you find better ones and everything later on in the game and everything, like the ones I currently have or anything, you'll definitely find so many different talismans to work and fiddle with. There's plenty of them. So when you find them and everything, equip the ones that'll work well for your build, however you want to build it. Let's see, what else am I forgetting? Shadows, or anything that you think I'm forgetting here, for at least early game suggestions?
I mean, not really. Just look at any of the effects and affinities that you want to work for a build and kind of stick with it. Never allocate too many stats everywhere. Don't over stretch yourself with a lot of stuff. You have too much endurance, vitality, whatever you want, especially when it comes to your strength, dexterity, and all the other affinities.
Right.
Because then you're weakening yourself a lot more for the mid to late game. Because everything is going to be everywhere, and you're going to have to reset your stats eventually to do that if you do it.
Okay.
So if you want to be a heavy weapon, stick to strength weapons and put whatever else you need on your health and endurance. If you're going to be a dex player, same thing, dexterity, stamina, just your main stuff as long as you don't overdo it. It's basically the biggest issue that
The
I see
basic
players do
stuff,
when they
yeah.
first start. Other than that, just have fun and explore, and never get discouraged if you die, ever. That's the
Right.
whole point
Never.
of the game.
Yeah, never
You're
get
gonna
discouraged when
die.
you die.
You're
Yeah,
gonna die a
you're
lot.
gonna die. It's gonna die a lot. It's gonna happen. Don't just never get discouraged on that shit. It's going to happen. Um, as Shadow was just mentioning about the strength stats and everything like that, if you're deciding to go like heavy builds and and stuff, focus on strength, endurance, and what was it, vitality.
Yeah, just stick with the base stats. Health is like
Dump
the
it all in.
first one you need
He
always.
says he was just gonna dump it all in strength and full send it.
I mean, you can. People do it all the
You
time.
can.
It
People
works.
do it all the time. If you want to do it that way, you can. Again, challenge yourself on the way you want to do it. If you want to have lower stamina and lower health, but just have a shit ton of damage and be a glass cannon that just runs out there, do it. You do you. That's what the beauty of these games, of Souls games, are. You can create whatever build that you want. As much as I'm telling you the hints and everything, and others are showing you stuff and everything like that, are mentioning on there, like that's why I was telling Enoverse when he popped up in chat and was wondering what kind of build to set you on. I was just like, no, immediately it's just like, we're gonna send you on an actual set to what you want, not some random little setup or anything. Glass
He has
cannon was
the
a good idea.
unlimited bleed build to cheese everything.
Right, like exactly. He was probably going to end up choosing like the
Everybody does
unlimited bleed build or whatever to cheese all the bosses and get through the game like it's nothing. All people do that shit. That's why he said like as if there was only 6 different ways of making a build, because he was probably picking the 6 best broken builds that are off of the internet or whatever that people use on constant. Me, do you see me using one of the broken builds? Like, nah, I'm the Reaper of Flasks. I just use whatever I used and have fun with it. Mind you, I am still overpowered in terms of levels for like PvP, as others would definitely tell you, especially Shadow here. But still, again, I don't care. I play what I want to play to enjoy it, which is the point of playing a game at all. So as long as you're not competitive with the concept of the PvP that goes on in Elden Ring, and don't like bother with what people would end up telling you on stream, and you can ignore their bullshit, you're good. Just keep playing whatever way you want to play. Keep enjoying your character the way you want to enjoy your character. Build them how you want to build, and I'll just be here all the step of the way, just guiding you to some things and helping you not fuck up too badly. If you go into certain areas and somewhere that you're not supposed to, I might just shut up just for fun, just to see what happens, because I'm curious of whether or not you'll survive it. Because in all honesty, you can survive pretty much any of these encounters as long as you're simply smart about the dodging, can anticipate some stuff, and start getting more used to this style of combat. I will suggest go get yourself a better controller when you can, because it will definitely suck when you're in the middle of combat or something and that controller straight up just cuts out on you. Like straight up, brother. Yeah, you definitely will. Okay, yeah. Because that controller, man, like when you said you were having issues right out at the beginning, I was already worried for you. I was just like, oh no, if this starts cutting out while you're in the middle of like a boss battle or something. But like, damn. But no, dude, me and even Shadow here like agreed. You did damn good for a first try against Margit the Fell Omen. He's the noob filter. Like the whole entire thing is like if you cannot beat Margit at all, and you just keep on trying 1,000 times over and you could just never beat him, you're most likely the biggest noob to these style of games and you just aren't ever going to get past it. But you actually managed up to half health. Mind you, you did have the summon, but even with the summon, half health is still good, and you never leveled up. You didn't ever have enough runes to get a single level throughout all of that, or the moments when you did, you never sat down to level up. So you challenged Margit full on, bare bones from the get-go with just your base character, and at least got half health. We give you props for that. As Elden Ring like veterans here who've played the game from when the game came out through the DLC, like pre-ordered the DLC and had the 2-year wait for that shit, we applaud you for that. Because that's not easy. A lot of people and everything like that straight up die before they even get 1/4 of his health down. At the same place where you're at too, just that base level and everything. So I give you props for that. Well, let's see. Drink me some magic. Let's see. What else can I tell you to do? It's how I roll, man. Doesn't matter what game it is. Full send. Hell yeah. That's exactly what you're, just like Subnautica, yeah. I think that's exactly why you said you could not do my style of play through Sniper Elite and everything like that, though, and slow NPC walk around route or anything like that. You just straight up were going in full ham, full send, yeah. Heck yeah. So even in this game, I'll walk towards enemies with my Reaper dressed up with both of my scythes. Overshot that. And just walk in this style towards enemies when I do invasions. Just for fun and intimidation factor. One other thing is just because I've never seen my design here of my character replicated in any other player. The closest thing that I've seen is one person using the hood, but they had completely different armor and everything entirely. A lot of people do use the scythes, but they usually tend to use a different armor set and everything to make their quote-unquote Grim Reaper characters. So again, it's as we call it, fashion souls. Create whatever character and design that you want out of your character that you like and have fun with it. Even if it's a challenge, even if it's more difficult to get through, you'll still eventually get through it. It'll take difficulty and hardships and more tries, but it's possible. It's guaranteed possible. Also, next time when you're on stream, the only next thing I can tell you to try to go to is go this direction. This direction to this like grassy bit you see in the middle of this lake. You can get down from this little side right there, from Agill Lake North, or even back near First Step where we were standing on that edge of the lake. Go there, and then just beyond it, let me pull up my telescope here. Go to these ruins right over here that you see just beyond this. But start from over here. You see that little fire pit thingy that's just there in the center? Go to that. Go to that first, then after you're done in this area, go and explore these ruins. There's a couple of chests down over here and everything like that that you can go and loot for some stuff. Those are the only thing that I can suggest early game, other than going to and fighting against Margit and defeating Margit. For now, your only goal is to fight Margit. Unless you choose to want to go further south, you could always start heading south across that bridge that's right over here at Aguil Lake North. From where we are, you can go straight south and then just keep following the path until you go to the southern area. If you want to go and explore down here before going to other lands or other places or even fighting Margit, go for it. Just go for it. But heads up for all of these churches that you will find. Every single church that's out here will give you a sacred tier, which are the ones that you use to increase the number of flask uses, and the number of flasks, the amount that it heals. I mean, for the sacred tiers, the amount of uses are for the golden seeds, and golden seeds can be found pretty much everywhere. You just kind of have to just come across them as you go. There's a shit ton of golden seeds. There's in fact more golden seeds than you'll need to max out all of your flasks. The game creators just put in more than enough in here, so that way you actually have more than enough chances to get all of the flasks that you'll have total. But whether or not you find all of the sacred tiers at all of the churches out there is another story. So whenever you come across churches out here, like the Third Church of Marika that I was guiding you at the beginning, you'll end up finding them. There's a couple more churches down south if you choose to decide to go for that. Yeah. What other minor? Oh, that's the last thing I was going to show you. The upgrading in the round table hold. So round table hold. When you do finally get a chance of defeating the guy that you were fighting down here, it's you'll get a good item from him, from Albrich the Mad Tongue. When we go into multiplayer, he'll drop this item for you, the Taunter's Tongue. It'll lure in invaders. So if you ever want to just pull in random actual players to fight against for shits and giggles from time to time and test your build and everything like that against other players' builds, you want to activate your Furl Culling Finger Remedy first, then activate your Taunter's Tongue when you have no other player with you, and you'll be able to pull in invaders that way. Otherwise, you'd want to have a cooperative player with you, a partner, and they will definitely start pulling in random invaders automatically from time to time. But you can increase the amount of invaders you get by also activating the Taunter's Tongue while you also have your partner with you. Duelists, you can also do this exact same thing, but instead of them being a co-op, you can have a friend be a duelist and just fight against you for some mock battles against some friends. In doing this is usually the best way if your friend's ever dropping an item to you and at any point. Being summoned in as a duelist is the best way of doing it, because when you're in as a basic summon as a duelist, you won't get invaders unless you actually activate the Taunter's Tongue itself. And I know this is a hell of a lot to explain and a lot to remember, which is why I'm just hoping it's just going to be all in this one little video, and then anytime you could just keep coming back to this one video for some of these things and get it. But there is going to still be more tips that I'll drop for you much later on once you get to certain areas or parts, since most of the things that I want to also mention are so much farther that it'd just be spoilers at that point. And this is one game that I don't want to spoil anything in terms of like story and that. If you want to get more context clues on story and everything like that, you're more than welcome to look up the YouTube videos and everything from other players that have gone through and explained the story of the background story itself. They just explain the story, none of the gameplay, not where things are or anything really much, but they will explain the story of the characters, like who these people are and stuff like that, and like most of these paintings and everything. This right here is Horalu, Chieftain of the Badlands, on this picture right here. Like they'll go into the explaining all these. If I'm not mistaken, is that Radagon? That is Radagon. That's red hair. That's Radagon. Those two there, those images are the two first Elden Lords. This is the first Elden Lord, and this is the second Elden Lord. Mind you, I say first and second, but LOL, I have a playlist called Raymond. I just keep all of your tip videos. Nice. That is awesome. Good to know. But yeah. So check out some of those people and everything. They've done a lot of videos in terms of just stories. You could just look up Elden Ring lore videos on characters. look up even a channel of some of the people. One guy that does a good number of them that is really good, if I'm not mistaken. Shadow, the name of that one YouTuber that's really famous for the Elden Ring stuff and the Souls games and that is Vati Vidya, isn't it?
That's one of them. There's like three that I know.
Okay, so yeah, if you look online for like someone named Vati Vidya or Vidi or something like that, they'll the most of their stuff is like one of the best Elden Ring lore videos that we've seen. There's a shit ton of others that you can always check out and find on your own time and everything that are really good. That's just again, those are mostly for entertainment purposes and finding the story of this game because everything in any Souls games in terms of their story is going to be found through context clues. And what I mean by context clues is if we go over here to your weapons or items and armors and we switch our view click on the item then switch our view or display, we get these flavor texts, explanations on certain items and certain things. But down at the bottom of this you'll notice that it says, yes, surely this is the moon that young Renala gazed upon. Renala is a character in the game and everything, and these little flavor texts are usually little snippets of the story, little lines that otherwise say or hint to other things or speculation on the overarching story that you only get other little snippets of. So you really, unless you are really good at being able to put them all together over the course of all the videos or game or times that you play the game, your best bet would be wanting to look up a couple of YouTube videos and follow the actual stories that some people have actually pieced them together. Diehard Souls fans have definitely gone out of their way to hunt down every bit of information from every bit of flavor text from everything out there and put them all together to try to like create what the actual real story that is being told, because half the time the games are telling you one story or one thing, whereas most of all the flavor text in that will be telling you that it's actually in fact a different way than what you're actually thinking it is. So yeah, it's a great game series. Like of all the other Souls games, this game of just Elden Ring is absolutely amazing. The story is 100% 10 out of 10, like game of the year. Like I said, people were even putting the what's it called, DLC as a possible game of the year. What's it called? Like what's the word I'm looking for? Nominee, essentially. When it came out, like for its year, they were just like, oh, Elden Ring DLC is so good, it's basically another game, it deserves to be game of the year, because the DLC itself was absolutely phenomenal and its story also ties into the whole story here in this game. It's great. But once you get into the roundtable holds, you're going to want to come and talk to this guy over here. He has a whole story thing as well. Talk to him, talk through his story, learn it, remember it, memorize it. This guy is Master Hugh, and he is your blacksmith. He is the guy who will forge your weapons to the point and the ability of killing a god. He is your smithing master. Respect Master Hugh. And here you'll be able to upgrade all of your weaponry and everything like that through basic levels. All of my current weapons are upgraded except for the ones that I have just in my inventory, so I can go and show you these. Let's see. I can pick a random weapon or something like that, just any of these. I can add, as long as you have some smithing stones and you happen to have enough runes to be able to purchase the upgrade, you can upgrade them up to +1, +2. Any basic weapon, let's go back over here. Basic weapons like these ones will require basic smithing stones. Basic smithing stone weapons go up all the way up to +25. Special weapons, like let's say this Reduvia, that take specifically somber smithing stones, like this one, let's see, it's okay, yeah, these ones are lower. Somber smithing stone weapons like the Reduvias and this one can go up to +10. They're still just as damaging as the +25 and everything. They're just the special weapons. Meaning, with the special weapons, meaning is when we go over to Ashes of War and try to equip them, you'll see I only have 2 weapons that I can activate Ash of War on them, even though I have 6 weapons that I have equipped. The other weapons that I have equipped right now and everything are special weapons. They can't put an Ash of War on them. Regular weapons that go up to +25 are the only ones you can add an Ash of War to, giving them a special ability. Whenever you add an Ash of War to any of these weapons, however, is where you'll be able to add an affinity to your weapons. at any of these points, when I click on, let's say, just my, just what's it called, attack here again for my Phantom Slash. Wait, is that for my Phantom Slash? Okay, yeah, Phantom Slash. If I were to just click Phantom Slash, it would just show you you can add on any of these affinities granted. Mind you, most and all of these, up to, I think, Magic and lower, you will not have available to you. I think right now all you have is Standard, maybe Heavy, and I think Keen. Quality and so on are going to be in other whetstones and that you will find later on in the game by other names. The one that you found in that one early town is just enough to give you Heavy and Keen and I think Standard. Most of these are going to, as you notice, are for your stats. Standard, basic leveling and everything like that, basic weapon. Heavy if you're deciding to go strength build. Keen if you're deciding to go dex build. Quality if you want a mix of both strength and dex. If you happen to be a balanced, character like I happen to be with my stats, you can always go with quality. After a certain level, or like I think past like over level 300 or so, quality weapons are going to be more damaging than any of the keen or heavy that you can do. As you can see here, my strength scaling for strength and this one well, for strength for this one becomes low, but for this one is non-existent. For dex it only comes out of strength, whereas quality you'll get your strength from or your damage scaling from both stats. Everything else when it comes from magic will include for your intelligence. Lightning is just basic, but sacred will be your faith. Poison will be arcane. Same with blood and cold. Or cold's actually intelligence. Right, cold's a sorcery. Okay, yeah. Poison, blood, and occult are all going to be arcane. Your arcane stats. So these are what you'll be like adding affinities to a certain weapon, and then based off of that, since it'll be changing your attribute scaling, that's when you go in and level up your character to those stats to be able to make sure that weapon does the most damage. So if you're already building your character for strength like you were talking about, you'd go for with a weapon that's going true heavy and all strength damage, and you'll be getting the most damage from a heavy weapon with this. Mind you, my grave scythe here is not a heavy weapon whatsoever, and for a heavy weapon, your best bet would be going through the great swords or colossal swords, or even like the heavy thrusting weapons and curved great swords. There's great axes and hammers, and there's, I believe, great hammers as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, great hammers over here. The heaviest of the heaviest of weapons and everything. Strength 25 to wield, and some of them take faith depending on where you find them and everything like that. These two over here are from the DLC, but you can find a lot of these others and everything like that base game. So those will be your heavy weapons and everything if you decided to go strength. Lord Sworn. Hold on. Yeah, I know I have a Lord Sworn weapon back there. Yeah, Lord Sworn's Sacred Straight Sword. Most of these swords you can, like some of these ones that you see what I have so many duplicates came from like enemies that you've been killing. The guys that are just walking around, the basic soldiers, they'll eventually drop some of their weapons as well. Like I said, whenever you see that white glow from either weapon or from enemies, dead enemies, or just like anywhere, do your best to run to them, pick them up. Even if you die after picking them up, the item will still be in your inventory. You won't lose anything. And as you just saw, as soon as I got out of my inventory just now, go back in the stream and you'll see it up in the top right corner. You'll see a little Elden ring symbol. That's the autosave. Auto-saving happens almost everything. Every time you open up a menu and exit out of it and start walking around and doing stuff, you most likely start getting another autosave, unless it just recently autosaved. Like, this game just constantly autosaving. The moment you do a decision, talk to people, other things, go to new locations, do and almost anything, it autosaves. So you can't really do too much save scumming in this game, especially not on console, unless you do some very special setting work with the like save uploads and shit like that. That's the only way people are even able to do any form of item duping and everything like that in the game. Don't worry, this door will eventually open. It's literally just that guy you talked to by the fireplace and everything. Gideon Ofnir, the dude with the staff. He'll just be sitting there. You can talk with him a couple of times, so It's not really too big of a thing. And most of your items you'll get from these guys, from the Twin Maiden Husks. Bell bearings. Now, to explain bell bearings, you'll get bell bearings from time to time from either random chests, random enemies, or yeah, a few random enemies drop a few bell bearings. Specifically, a couple of enemies types that are called the bell bearing hunters. Um, that's what I was actually trying to get you to try to fight while you were at the Warhammer's shack when I was telling you to pass the time over to nighttime until the guy disappears. Once that guy disappears, you'll have a what's it called? An enemy type that you can actually that'll show up that you can end up fighting to receive a bell bearing. So look and hunt down for bell bearings when you can. Just whenever you do happen to find them or get them, bring them back over to the Twin Maiden Husks. Next time you get a chance to, I'm probably going to try to take you over there probably after you defeat Margit. Once you've gotten through and defeated Margit the Fell Omen here, I'm going to take you through an area that's over here in those ruins across the water that I was telling you about. From there, we'll be able to go and get you another one of these bell bearings that you'll need for later. But more on that much later, on next time on stream. Other stuff that you can get from them is eventually, and this is what I'm going to stress, because you didn't eventually go back to you did go back to the Church of Eleb, but the cutscene didn't trigger. Sometimes it doesn't trigger for some players. I don't know what it is that causes it not to trigger, but essentially you usually come across another NPC that's called that calls herself Rana, or was it Rana?
Ronnie?
No. What's the name that she gives you at the beginning? Not Ronnie. She gives you Rena. So she shows up and tells you her name is Rena, the witch, and everything like that. And she will give you the spirit calling bell along with a set of lone wolf ashes. You'll receive both of these from her and everything like that normally, but when you went back, she wasn't waiting where she was supposed to be waiting. I don't really remember what didn't trigger for you or not, but because it didn't, and you've already gone up to the point of entering the round table hold, you'll find both the lone wolf ashes and that bell sitting here with the Twin Maiden Husks. Don't forget to get those and pick up this. Memory Stone will increase the amount of memory slots that you have. Memory slots are what you'll need to do spells and incantations. And I could go and explain spells and incantations now. Especially since I'm going to have you, the next time you get a chance, is to talk to the guy that was standing over here. His name is Corin. He's the one that'll give you your early healing incantations for the game. You'll go down to Memorize Spell, and you can place them over here to use on as long as you have the memory slots for each of the spells. You'll probably forget. Like you said, you have my videos apparently saved to that folder and everything, or to that So just check out the video again and re-go through this little section. Just if not, I'll try to even mention it during the game and everything, like on your next stream, just to hop back, grab the memory stone in that from the Twin Maiden Husks, just because it'll be much more useful later on. And if you choose to actually be using incantations, mind you, or even spells, I don't know how you want to go about, again, your playthrough. If you just want to go just strength, you don't even have to use any incantations or anything, and you can just max out your your flasks, and just have a shit ton of healing flasks. And if you're not using any magic or incantations, you can forego the cerulean flasks altogether and allocate it all to healing flasks if that's how you want to play the game. It's just how you want to build. It gives you everything just there, and you just create how you want to play. So you place your any of your incantations or your spells. Like I have one particular spell, and then all the rest of my incantations placed in these slots. But you'll have to always make sure you have enough of the attributes that are required to use these spells. You have to have, every time you get these incantations, wherever you find them, or even on the spells themselves, you'll have either a requirement of your faith or your intelligence. Again, sorceries are going to be your intelligence stats, and all of your incantations faith. Certain ones, like the max healing incantation, happens to take a max of 42 levels on your faith stat. So keep that always in mind, to increase up to the certain amount that you can use, but no more than what you're trying to do. Because again, if you're not going a faith build, You don't have no need for high levels of it. Like this one, this incantation's level 72 just to use this incantation. I can use it because my stats are all maxed out for the basic 4 stats for damage types. But this is my original first character that I ever started with, and has gone into this game for over 1,300 hours since the purchase of this game. So, at some point, that girl that you talked to that gave you the little jellyfish, that was talking about the spiders, the chrysalids, and all that, and her friends losing their arms, she's right here. She'll eventually pop up over here. When she pops up here at this, what's it called, fireplace, start talking to her. She'll eventually move down the hall. After talking back and forth between her and Master Hugh, storyline stuff I will let you figure out. She'll eventually pop up here, and you'll be able to talk to her. By doing so, you can increase your your summonings. I'm 3 hours in, right behind you. Yeah, exactly. So, let's see. Let me get rid of... Is it this? Oh, wait, hold on. There we go. Turn that off. There's an extra display that usually just shows you how active PvP is in the areas and everything like that. If you ever happen to want to do PvP, you pull up the thing and switch the multiplayer status display to on. I'm not sure if you ever will choose to do PvP, but like right here in Agile Lake North, you'll notice plenty of red invasions going on, but there's also a good amount of co-op summonings and everything going on around here as well. So that's just how the game shows it and everything like that for everywhere where you'll see it. The higher amounts of quote-unquote, what's the word? Traffic, I guess, of players going into certain places, they'll just be in those areas for the most part where the majority of summons have been like taken place. Just a random little thing. Just it's not really majorly important whatsoever. But yeah. I think for the most part, this is all the tips that I can think of to start off with. Other than never keep talking to every single NPC and exhaust their dialogue. I cannot stress that more than enough. So many times have I helped other players and everything like that, and we're moving on to a next step in a storyline for whatever storyline they're trying to complete, and we get to a point where we're wondering where the heck the character is and why they haven't moved on. It's because they haven't exhausted every single line of dialogue. That's about it. Oh, and one last thing. If you ever want to fiddle with gestures, go onto this side and you can switch them out. You usually can activate them. If you have the function active, mind you, you can press and hold the Y button for you and then shake your controller in a certain way. I currently do not have that active, so my character will not be doing them. But you can do it that way in order to be able to do quick... gestures. Not really a good option because it can end up screwing you up in the middle of battle, as it has for me, which is why I turned it off. Otherwise, you can set them all up by just switching them out over here and placing your 6 favorite ones and then activating them from the options. And yeah, beyond that, thank you, Zorn, for joining, and can't wait for the next episode of your stream to see how much farther you end up going into the game and what more you can end up causing and what destruction you'll end up doing. See which NPCs you accidentally kill, because I know some people have just get pissed off at... Some people get pissed off at Vare, that's always standing right here, and they just immediately kill him. Especially when they just start telling you that you're maidenless and shit. This one streamer I saw just immediately attacked him the moment he said that, and then moved on, or tried to, but... And then this on Wednesday. All right, sounds good. I'll be there tomorrow for some Nautica. Can't wait to see some more on the hardcore mode. And since you're just around the bend from going to go and meet up with the Sunbeams, so Can't wait to go and see that and check out the rest of those mods that you got there, buddy. So thank you all for joining me for EXP Grind playing Elden Ring. This has just been some tips and everything for YouTube Zorn the Great. For those of you who haven't already, go and check out Zorn the Great's YouTube channel and go give him a subscription and a couple of notifications, or like turn on the notification bells for his notifications. And see you all on some of his streams, or see you all in the next time on my streams. You all have a good one. Stay safe out there. Catch you guys all next time. Bye bye.